All right, guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to make a quick video to address a common conversation that I have, and that is talking about length of pages. So something that I hear very commonly is I just want to write shorter pages because I like shorter pages better. Or you'll hear the same thing about videos as a YouTube video, obviously, and we'll hear something like, no, we should just rank shorter videos because I prefer a video that's only 3 minutes long. I like watching it better. And so therefore, if I create a shorter video, YouTube will show it to people because I like it better. YouTube must like it better. Or on an article, I like a shorter article better. And so I'm going to write it that way, and I'm sure that it'll work great. That's kind of a common conversation that I have. So we're going to dive into that a little bit and talk from a technical perspective how that works and why that's just not true. So for a non-technical explanation, I'll just skip straight to the end. It's not true. Longer content ranks better. Longer videos rank better. And there's two main reasons why. The first reason is you just get more at bats. So Google or whatever search engine, YouTube, which is also owned by Google, Bing, whoever it is, they're trying to understand what you're talking about. And if you say more, they have more of an opportunity to understand what you're talking about. Number two, a search engine does two things. Number one, they try to understand what you're talking about. Number two, they split test. So they show different people pages and see what they like about. Now, how do they know? If I'm a search engine, how do I know if somebody likes a page better than another page? So I show them two pages. They both get, so first off, does somebody click on it or not? Assuming somebody clicks on it, how long do they spend on it? That's that, are they interacting with it? Things like that. If it's longer, people spend longer. So that's easy to understand from a YouTube perspective. If I have a 3-minute video, probably the longest somebody's going to watch it is 3 minutes. If I have a 30-minute video, then somebody may watch it for 3 minutes, but somebody else may watch it for 20 minutes. And so my statistics are going to be better. So that's the kind of the non-technical explanation. Now let's jump in a little bit more technically why that might be the case. So to do that, I'm going to show you a couple things. So first off, this is a page. So we'll use this page as an example. This is a page that I wrote. It's about 3,600 words long. So it has H1, a form, a checklist, a summary. There's links throughout it. The CSS on here doesn't show the links that well, but they're there. Has a table of contents. You can jump around, a call to action, and then a bunch of short sections talking about each one of those things. And then down at the bottom, we have another call or another form with a call to action, and then we have an about the author, showing kind of some expertise where Joe's been on podcasts. Why you'd want him to be out there. So that's basically the format of the page. Now, how did I land on that format? Okay, so I have a tool. This is publicly available. I don't talk about it a lot. There's not even a lot of links to it. That's how you get to it. You're welcome to go to it. I'm just going to warn you, it's really slow. So when you hit send on it, it's going to take a long time. What it's basically doing is you put in a search term, and then it's looking at the top 10 pages, and then it's trying to figure out how many pages are on there. So that would be similar. So this page here, We Buy Homes, Salt Lake City, Utah. So that's similar to this search, right? We Buy Homes, Salt Lake. I typed it in here. My results in here are going to be just a little bit different than on the content tool because this is agnostic. This one takes into consideration my search history and different things like that. And you look, the top couple are sponsored, right? This is us, Joe Homebuyer, Utah. When I say us, Graibox is working for Joe Homebuyer. And then that's our first one, We Buy Salt Lake City Houses.com, and so on and so forth. And if we look in here, we can see here, We Buy Salt Lake City Houses.com. So it's right there. So let's look at the page. And what I want you to do as we're looking at these pages is pretend for a second that you don't speak English. So, and you are just trying to look at the page, trying to decide which page you're going to send somebody to if they type this in. Now, bear in mind, Google's computers do not speak English. They don't. So think about it, and let me show you what I mean. So this first page right here. So let's look at the page. So first off, pictures, Google reviews, that's great. A form, you got pictures there, another call to action, a good little thing. That's nice. We've got a video. Videos are great. How it works, pictures, like that seems, again, even though I didn't speak English, that seems really straightforward. We have here some high level points. It talks a little bit about Salt Lake, even has a picture of Salt Lake, has a phone number there, has reviews, that's great. Links to their blog. Compare your option. We have a nice table there. It shows what it does. Another call to action, and then down here we've got a bunch of FAQs. Obviously, if you click on this, they expand them. So first off, and then where we service. So that's the page. So first off, it's the number one page. Having We Buy Salt Lake in the URL does not hurt. So if you're picking out a URL and there's a search term that's really important for you, it's not scalable, but it works great on that one. Second off, this is a pretty long page. I mean, right? So like, who is it likely that everybody is poring over every single word in here? No, it's not. But it's easy to skim, right? They have H2s in here. You can go find what you're looking for, and you can go do it. Second off, let's look at our second ranked page. By the way, this is a home page, you'll notice. So when I type that, sometimes it takes it to a home page, sometimes it takes it to a particular landing page. So this one is not very long. Has a whole bunch of links to cities in Utah. So if I'm looking and I'm saying, hey, this is in Utah, you see the UT right there, and then you see all these different cities. Okay, that seems helpful. I can see why Google would send somebody to that. Third page. So this is an actual landing page, and if we go back here, the Clover one, we can look, and Clover is right there. So they've done this before. This is almost 3,200 pages that they have. Presumably it's working well, or they wouldn't keep doing it. And let's look at their pages. So let's, yep, this is the right one. Okay, so we come in, good links. We have a summary, table of contents, another summary. Then we have a header. We have this little information linking to other pages or other sites that are reputable as well, that are also in this space. Explains what it is, more links, high quality links, right, either to themselves or to other people. Comes down a little form, frequently asked questions. So again, it's long, it shows a lot of things, right? We go to the next one. This is also a landing page in Light Homes. And if we go back to landing pages, so if you're ranking for a lot of keywords, you normally have more pages, about 375. Okay, a little bit more than us, about the same. We're at 270. That's great. And Light Homes. So we've got Better Business Bureau. That's reputable. We've got rankings. We've got a picture. Videos. Lots of videos in here. That's great. We come in here. Okay, so you get the idea. Comes down. Lots of good links. That looks helpful to me. A lot of table, that looks helpful as well. So we come in, and in these pages, again, they're designed for skimming and then zooming in on what you want. Now let's talk about really quickly how a search engine works. And then we can come back and keep looking at this. But this is, so first off, when a search engine looks at this page, this is a good example. What it's trying to do here, I got a whiteboard right here. So what it's trying to do is it creates what's called a vector. For those of you who are not remembering exactly what a vector is from your mathematical days, a vector, so there, if we have a circle there, we'll come in and let's do a red one. Let me do a red one. 10. Okay, I know how to do a red one. We're going to do a black one. Okay, so what a vector is it gives you an angle and a length. So that's a vector. That's a vector. That looks like a clock. That's a vector. It can be really long. It can be shorter. So those are vectors, right? So what does and what does a vector actually looks like? It just looks like this. You have a number. So let's say 1, and then another number, 107 or whatever. That's a really simple vector. Vectors can be a lot longer, but in its simplest way, that's what a vector is. So this is a 2-dimensional vector. You can make a 3-dimensional vector, right? Like a sphere, and that would point to a different location in the sphere, right? You can also do more dimensions. They're harder to draw, harder to picture. I'm not even going to attempt to picture a 3-dimensional one. But when Google looks through your page, what they do is make a vector with a couple thousand dimensions, and what they do exactly is proprietary. a lot of the developers at Google left and went to a company called Yandex in Russia, and then a bunch of their algorithms were leaked. It's widely believed that that they're similar to Google, and they had a couple thousand. What exactly they do doesn't matter for the purpose of this conversation. The point is that's what they do. So what they're going to do is they're going to read through your page and they're going to say, what is this page about? And then they're going to make a vector. And then they're going to take a search engine, or they're going to, so this is our vector. Let's pretend these are 4 different pages. So now somebody comes in with a search. Google's going to make a vector, and let's say that the vector looks like this. It's right here. Which page are you going to send them? Well, you're going to send them this one that's right next to it, right? Very simple. That's pretty straightforward, easy to understand. This search query is about this page is about that. Let's send them over. Now, why does a longer page do better? Well, it's really simple to understand. When we make these pages, they don't actually index the whole page at the same time. They break into chunks. So let me show you. This is a project that we did for a gentleman named Binoy Tamang. Awesome gentleman. Wrote a book, a very specific book. It's about, he does coaching for CEOs for tech companies that have been purchased by venture capitalist group. So he's a very brilliant person, awesome man, wrote a great book about a very niche specific topic. So one thing that we did at Graibox is that we wrote articles for him for his website that's not actually published yet. And they actually sound like him. So it's a topic, and it sounds like it's written by him. They're different ones. So we can talk about that. Maybe I'll do a case study on that in the future. But the point is that in this book, we used a similar algorithm to Google's to break it into chunks. So if you can see, I threw out the first couple chunks because it's like the table of contents and stuff like that. And then you can see we broke it into different chunks. Some of them are paragraphs, some of them are lists, they're different chunks like that. Then we look at each one of these chunks to try to figure out what they're about. So over here, pretend like we're a search engine on this book, and we want to find out about CEOs successful, right? So I type in what's a CEO, what makes a CEO successful or something like that. And then these are the pages in the book that talk about that, and the pages next to it. So 53 talks about it. This grabs 52, 53, and 54. And then it grabs, and then 55 talks about it, grabs the ones next to it. But that's what's talk about it. So this works on the same premise. It's finding what is in there that's similar, and it breaks it into chunks. So now let's go back to this page that we're looking at. And really quickly, you've probably heard that videos do really well. Well, why? Because videos are their own chunk, and in fact, they're multiple chunks. So I'm sure you've been on YouTube and you've seen that the captions are auto-generated by YouTube. You've seen that before, right? Why does YouTube auto-generate your captions? It's so that it can know what in the world your video is about, so that it can send people to it or not. So if you look in here, and let's just look, so this is probably what? Maybe one chunk, let's call it for the sake of argument. Here's another chunk. Here's another chunk. Each of these videos, depending on how long they are one or more chunks, that's probably another chunk. That's probably another chunk, right? We've got here, that's another chunk. That's another chunk, right? We've got a form, that's a chunk. We've got another form. Or this is a chunk, it's probably more than one chunk because there's a lot of text there. Whatever else. This is probably multiple chunks, right? So we go through all this thing, and let's see, for the sake of argument, we have 20 different chunks. So now let's come back to our thing, and let's use a different area, and let's say that, in fact, here, let's just do this. Let's hit undo a bunch of times and get rid of this. Okay, so now let's say we're trying to understand what this page is about, and we have a whole bunch of chunks, right? And let's start drawing them. So let's say we have a chunk here, that the vector looks like that. We have another one there. We have another one there. We have another one there. Then let's say we got one that's over there. We've got another one here. Then we've got another one there that's longer. Then we've got another one here. We've got another one here, right? And we've got all these different chunks. We've got one over here in left field and all these different chunks. So you can see that as we're doing this, we're getting a really good understanding of what this page is about, right? Now let's say that we have, let's see if it's going to let me do colors this time. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now we're in colors. So let's say we have another page that's shorter, right? And let's say this page is right here, right? So this is our page that's shorter. That's what it's about, right? And then now let's say we have a search query, and let's do our search query in yellow. And let's say the search query is right here. It's literally right on line with this page, right there. And these are my two options. Now, if I'm Google, Which one am I going to send it to? This one that's an exact match and there's one, or this page that has a whole bunch of chunks that are kind of centering in this spot and that are there? Which one am I going to send it to? Well, it's not 100% clear, but let's say it this way. It's not a no-brainer that it's going to send it to this one that it's exactly about, right? This other one with more content, if I was trying to decide which one to send it to, it's kind of a toss-up, right? So in reality, what am I going to do? I'm going to split test them. Two people are going to search the same thing. I'm going to send one to the green page and one to the black page. And let me ask you a question. This short page with 300 words that's exactly about that, and this long page, which one is the person likely to spend more time on? Well, they're probably going to spend more time on the black page. Maybe they'll watch a video. Maybe one of these videos is right here next to it. Maybe this text is right here next to it. They're probably going to do it. So over time, which one am I going to send them to more? My guess is that the black page is going to win out in this situation. And so that's what happens. And so you get more at-bats. Now, number two, let's say that now there's another search query. And let's say instead of being right on, it's right here, right? So now this green page doesn't have a prayer, right? It's just not going to go there. This black page is still in the mix, right? It still might be able to go there. So number one, the black page is going to do potentially better on the term that's exact. Number two, when you start getting into similar terms, it's going to do better as well, which is why you'll see one page ranking for multiple things, because it does a good job talking about these different things. Now, let's talk about one more thing. When Google's there, it does not just look at that one page, right? So if we look here, so let's see. So this one has the name in the web page. That's fine. That one is a Utah one. That one's there. We're going to find another home page. I bet we have one. Let's see. Okay. No, that's not a home page. Let's see. Okay. FastHomeOfferUtah.com. So that is that's a home page. And if we come back here, let's see how big it is. Let's see how big the site is. Fast Home Offer Utah is right there. 177 pages. We typed that in, and it decided to send us to our home page. So the home page is actually Google's preferred site to send people to. So let's I'm going to clear this out. Well, let's get rid of a bunch of these, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, so if Google has a choice of where to send, let's organize your site over here. So, I don't like black. I don't like yellow. It's hard to see. So let's switch back to black for a second. And let's say that we have the home page right there. And then underneath the home page, let's say that we have some other pages, right? Or some other directories or whatever. And then inside of that directory, let's say we've got some more directories, right? Just like your files. So their preference, the one that, the page on your site that has the most juice, if you will, is right there. So that is actually their preference. When they're looking, if they can find a home page that talks exactly about that, that's what they're going to send them to over a deeper page. That's normally what it's about. So how does it decide what a home page is about? You'll hear me talk about a rising tide lifts all the boats. Well, you saw the graph earlier that we did that talked about all the different chunks within that page to decide what a page is about. And sometimes you hear that talked about as in a page, you'll hear page authority or PA. You'll also hear about topical authority or TA. What is that talking about? That's talking about the website. So let's say in this case, these are all sites talking about selling a home fast, right? So let's say this one that we were at was right here, FastHomeOfferUtah.com. They've got 177 pages. So now they go and they crawl and index all of those pages. And they've got a page that's about that, and a page that's about that, and a page that's about that, and a page. And they have one page over here in left field. That's fine. And they've got a page here. A lot of their pages are going to be really similar, right? So they're going to come over here, and Google's going to say, boy, this site talks a lot about that. So now if I have a query that comes and it's about this, I might just send them right to that page because it's about that. The other thing is, if I'm this other site and I decide, if I'm this fast home buyers, whatever it was, site, and now I decide to write another page that's right here, right in line with what I usually talk about, guess what's going to happen? This page is more likely to rank more quickly because Google understands this site has authority on that site, and so that or on this topic. So now this page is going to get topic on this site. Let's say that I come over here and write this page. This page is going to rank more slowly because I don't have very much authority about that. Now, now I can make another cluster, right? And I can start writing a bunch of pages about it, whatever. And then over time, I can be recognized as having authority on this one as well. I don't want to make it sound like I can only have authority on one thing. But normally when I get to a page that's more like this, it's less likely. Then that would be a situation where, so let's say, for example, this chunk right here is these, right? And then let's say that I decide to write another chunk with all these pages, and that is all these pages over here, right? Then now, if somebody has a search term about this, Google might serve this site or that page, or they might serve one of these pages, right? And then if they write about this second one, if I have a query over there, they might serve that page, or they might serve one of these pages, right? Because it seems to be about it. So a good example of that would be Wikipedia, right? So Wikipedia has literally a page about almost everything you can imagine, right? And they have all of these topical authorities, and normally they're going straight to these sites, although they will understand, hey, this is a better site than a different one. That's a different conversation for a different day. But again, going back, so let's go back to the beginning of what we talked about. So this page, when we looked at it, again, we looked at some of these other pages that we're competing against and what they were about. Again, has a form up here, has some information, has some reviews, has some pictures, has some more reviews, has some steps, has all these things. So how do we rank against these pages? So there's more than two factors, but for the sake of this video, there's two big factors that we're looking at. One of them is what is our site about? How many at-bats do we have? How can we get a lot of chunks that have good authority, that are talking about what we're wanting to talk about, so that we can draw a lot of lines that are close together about this topic that we're trying to rank for. Number two, so that would be our page authority. Number two, how can we get our topical authority? So when we're looking here and we're saying how many pages are we about, if we're a 3-page site, it's hard to get very much topical authority. If we're a 3,200 page site, we can get more topical authority. One side note, some of these in here, like this one where it says 1, that just means it couldn't run. So it looks at a publicly available sitemap. There's a big algorithm of what it does, but some of them don't work. That's the reason why I really haven't pushed it publicly. It works okay. It's not perfect, but it gives you an idea. So if you want to use it, you're welcome to. But again, that's not the purpose of this video. But I just wanted to put that little, disclaimer out there. So as we're writing, number one, we're trying to get more pages that are talking about the same thing so that we can get our topical authority on our site. And then number two, we're trying to have enough at-bats in the page so that we can get our page authority, so that it's good, so that we have it in there. And then number three, we want to have other features. And again, this page would be better with a video with more pictures and whatnot, but we want to have it organized well with links, with table of contents, with lists, with things like that, so that even if somebody didn't speak English, they would say, hey, that's a pretty good site. I think somebody could find what they're looking for. And particularly if they're looking at the vectors and saying, hey, this is approximately what the person's searching for. This is a well-organized site. I bet they'll be able to find it, and then they send it over there. By the way, the length is particularly true when you don't have as much topical authority. So as you get more topical authority, if I come back over here, now if, let's say I have this whole cluster that I'm writing a lot of things about that. If I'm writing another page around here, I can just write a short little page. If I'm adding it to this next one right here, and I do a short little page, it'll actually rank pretty well, because in that case, it's recognized that I have good topical authority, and so another page works well. So an example of that would be, let's say, for example, Nike comes out with a new pair of shoes, and they just do a little tiny press release that says, hey, we've got this new pair of shoes. It's great. You should come look at it. Well, if I'm looking at, let's say my search term is new shoes, well, if I'm Google, I look at Nike's website and I'm like, yeah, they know a lot about shoes. So I have this little site or this little page. I'm really likely to send it to them still. Where let's say, for example, I start a brand new site that's called, iloveshoes.com or something like that, and my plan is to review all these shoes and get a lot of web traffic. Well, if I want to rank for that same query, which I just forgot, which was something like, what are new shoes? Well, if I write a page that's 5,000 words long, that has 400 pictures in it, that goes to every single new page or every single new shoe that's been published in the last year, and I'm updating it all the time. Let's see, 400 would not give everyone last year. We probably did 400 in the last 2 weeks or something. I don't know how often shoes come out, but and I update it regularly and whatever else. Now Google's going to look at that and say, hey, that's a pretty good site, right? That's a pretty good page. It's right. Let's say our shoe query is right there. It's right in line. I might try sending somebody to it, but Nike's going to have this little tiny site and they're probably going to outrank us. You know what I mean? Particularly originally, until we get topical authority, even though our page authority is really good. Topical authority in a lot of ways is more important than page authority, especially originally, although it can be overcome if there's a big enough discrepancy. Okay, so long video. I apologize for that. It's a subject that I'm obviously passionate about because I have this conversation a lot. So let's go back to the takeaways. Are longer pages better? Well, not if they're crap, but if they're good, it gives us more opportunities to show Google that we are good and to establish our authority on the site, so we get more at-bats at their search engine. Number two, if the site is created for users and does a good job, it gives users more of an opportunity to spend longer on our site, which in turn reinforces our topical authority and our page authority on that page, and then our topical authority for our domain, and so that over time we can rank better and better for on that particular page, because we're giving Google good feedback saying yes, they rank well, they fulfill our users' needs for that query, so we're going to send more people their way. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'd love to do another video answering more questions or things that I'm talking to right now. We're in the middle of a case study right now where we are taking a site that was primarily a pay-per-click site. We're converting it to an SEO site. In the first 28 days, we were able to increase web leads by 50%, which is phenomenal. I mean, it's unheard of, and it's phenomenal. We're doing it, and that's the page that I showed, the Joe Homebuyer Utah location page that I showed earlier. If you'd like to see that, check out the video at the end screen or subscribe to the channel to see the next ones coming out. Thank you for your time in watching, and have a fantastic rest of your day.